Tim Bradley wins a 12-round unanimous decision over Jessie Vargas to become the interim WBO welterweight champion. It was fairly plain sailing by Tim Bradley for the majority of the fight. The early rounds were relatively competitive, but as the fight wore on, Tim Bradley established his dominance. He was the guy that was pressing the action. He was the more busy fighter. He basically out-hustled, out-muscled, and at certain points even outboxed Jessie Vargas. Vargas, to me, wasn't impressive at all. I haven't actually seen many of Vargas's fights, and he definitely didn't impress me with his performance. It was looking to be a fairly comfortable win for Tim Bradley, and in the end, I guess it was, until the 12th round, where, in fact, in the 11th and 12th, maybe even as early as the 10th, I started noticing that Tim Bradley was getting tired. And Tim Bradley is a tremendously conditioned fighter, but we do know that between fights, he blows up in weight a little bit. And maybe that's been one of the reasons why he tends to fade late on in fights a little bit these days. Maybe not, but me, in my personal opinion, I think that may have something to do with the fact that he's struggling in the late rounds. And that's what seemed to be happening in this fight. He was getting a bit tired, a bit fatigued. In the last couple of rounds, he was just trying to coast. Then with 10 seconds left in the 12th round, Jessie Vargas managed to land a big right hand, bang on Tim Bradley's chin, and shake Tim Bradley up. And Jessie Vargas is not known as a devastating puncher. Had he been a devastating puncher, Tim Bradley might have gone down or might have been knocked out by that shot because, as I say, he was fatigued. He got caught flush on the chin by as perfect a right hand as Jessie Vargas could possibly throw and land. And obviously, when you're fatigued, your punch resistance is less than it is when you're fresh. And the referee, Pat Russell, thought he heard the bell with about 5 seconds left to go. Oh, with about 10 seconds left to go, sorry. Because the 10-second clapper went. Pat Russell thought he heard the bell, and he called the fight off with Tim Bradley trying to survive from that big right hand from Jessie Vargas. Jessie Vargas thought he won the fight, jumping up and down and whatever. A controversial end, and an unfortunately controversial end, because Tim Bradley really was winning the fight fairly comfortably, and yet again he has a solid victory snatched from him. Well, actually, let me not even say yet again, because when you look at the Pacquiao fights and the Provodnikov fight, there was genuine, I guess, controversy in those fights where Tim Bradley was close to being knocked out, certainly in the Provodnikov fight, on several occasions, all the way through the fight. And that fight, in terms of points, was much closer than the Jessie Vargas fight. And, the Marquez fight, I felt Bradley won fairly cleanly on points, but you get the point I'm making. Bradley seems to have a lot of hard luck when it comes to just being able to get a decisive victory anywhere. There's always some type of controversy or some type of problem that takes away from the sweetness of his victory, and none more so than there was with this fight with Jessie Vargas. After the fight, Tim Bradley was very gracious and said, you know what, Jessie, if you want a rematch, let's have a rematch, because I want to erase all doubts about that last 10 seconds of the fight, which were the only hope Jessie Vargas had of winning the fight. Personally, I think Tim Bradley, given the experience he has, given the fact that Jessie Vargas is not really a big puncher, he's not a finisher, I think Tim Bradley probably would have survived that last 10 seconds. I can't see Vargas knocking him out, but you never know. The reason why I say it's particularly unfortunate is because I don't want to see a rematch. I was hoping that Tim Bradley would just beat Vargas, or Vargas beat Bradley, but I was just hoping we have a decisive winner. I was assuming Tim Bradley was going to win. I was just hoping he'd win it decisively so that he could put himself in the mix at 147 pounds, maybe in the Mayweather sweepstakes. And I know he's with Top Rank and Bob Arum, so fights between himself and a lot of the other guys at 147 may be difficult to make, but not impossible. And there's still the possibility of him stepping up to 154 pounds, maybe taking on Canelo, maybe taking on someone else at 154. Hopefully not going up to fight Golovkin, either to 154 or 160, even though he's been talking about it. I mean, we see how Jessie Vargas, a non-puncher, was able to hurt him. you can only imagine what Golovkin would do to him if Golovkin connected. So hopefully we don't see no Golovkin situation. I would hate to see Tim Bradley get completely destroyed like that, because he is such a warrior and he's been such a great servant to the sport of boxing. So let's try and let's try and erase those crazy thoughts from Tim Bradley's mind. But yeah, I don't want to see a Vargas rematch. Tim Bradley, to me, proved he was the better man, apart from that last 10 seconds or last 15 seconds when he got caught and 10 seconds when it was stopped. He proved he was the better man. I really don't want to see a rematch. The fight wasn't even that good anyway. So it's unfortunate that he's going to get dragged into a rematch situation maybe. Let me know how you felt about the fight. Maybe you thought it was closer to me. What do you think about Bradley's performance? Do you think he's deteriorating as a fighter? Do you think his punch resistance is deteriorating? Or do you think it was just, he got caught with a good shot and he was fatigued and he had his chin in the air? And I don't care whether a guy's a non-puncher or a puncher. If he catches you as flush, as Vargas caught Bradley in the 12th round when you're fatigued, most guys are going to be hurt if they're caught in that position. So, yeah, let me know how you feel in the comment section below. It's Hatman, I'm out.